Getting involved in your child's education. Duval County is asking parents to take a first step by signing the Family Engagement Pledge. You'll find it by going to duvalschools.org/FACE. It's part of the district's November initiative, Florida Family Engagement in Education. Joining me this morning, Tia Leathers, the Executive Director of Family and Community Engagement, and Tiffany Clark, who's a parent leader with 2 children who attend school here in Duval County. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for being here. By the way, this is the pledge. You can get it online, but you also could maybe pick it up at your child's school. If it's difficult, sometimes people don't necessarily have access to a computer. Tia, let me begin with you this morning. You know, it seems so obvious to us as parents why it's so important to be engaged, but are you speaking to the parents who just, life is so busy and sometimes it's hard and you feel like you can't volunteer every single day, but that's not what you're asking for.
Not at all. And the Florida Department of Education is also with us in understanding a parent who's involved, no matter their education level, no matter their experience, their child is going to do better. Just knowing that there's someone at home asking them every day, what are you doing? How's it going? How can I help you? Their child has less behavior problems. Research shows they're more involved. Their grades are better. So a parent's role is very, very important. And as a district, we understand that and we support that as well.
Look, and we're listing just some of the, the benefits, of course, that you mentioned, Tia. I mean, lower suspension rates, decreased drug and alcohol use. I mean, we're talking even as early as elementary school. If you can just start now planning those routes, give them something that they really want to aspire to become.
That's right.
And the difference it makes if they've got that support at home.
That's right. And it's very important as a district that we support that effort. A lot of times we want to help with homework, but we don't understand it. So we put things out there. That's my night, every night. But we have Parent Academy classes, and we send our very best specialists. Our district directors are out there teaching. The same people that are supporting teachers are supporting parents. So they have access to all of the resources by which to be able to be the amount or the level of engaged they aspire to be.
So Tiffany, as Tia is talking, I see you're doing this. You're shaking your head. And you know, because you are in the middle of it all. You have 2 children in the system.
Do.
First, talk a little bit of the challenges of really being engaged, because as I mentioned, I mean, you get home and you've got to make dinner and make sure all the kids have everything for the next day. Sometimes it's hard to sit down. I was going over spelling words last night with my daughter and making dinner at the same time, trying not to burn it and then also help her. It's not easy.
And I think, and it's like you just said, the challenge of, being a mom, being a father, working a full-time job, at the same time trying to make sure that you stay on top of grades, that you make it to teacher conferences, that you're standing on the sidelines cheering them on at the games. And it becomes a challenge, but it's a challenge that I think that if we take it in bits and pieces and not try to be so grand and be so big. It's the little things that mean the most to our children.
So how do you do it? I mean, if there were one or two tips that you give, and I think that's great. Don't try to do it all. I mean, that's what I heard from you.
Yes.
Just even if you can just take that one, tackle the math.
Right,
You know,
right.
or tackle the spelling words.
Right. And I think conversations, teachable moments, rides in the car. A lot of times we don't think of those small things as parent engagement or family engagement, but picking a child up from a game and asking them, man, how was it? How was it out there on the court? How are you feeling today? Your child comes home and you give them a hug. Those are those small moments where you may not be able to sit down and spend 30 minutes on the new math, but you can take 2 or 3 minutes and ask them about their day. Calling a teacher, emailing a teacher and just asking, hey, is there anything that I can do for you? How can we make this work better for both you and my child?
And even if you get the occasional, like my 14-year-old gives me every day when I ask him how his day went, the eye roll, keep asking the questions about what happened in school, you know?
Yes.
Thank you both for being here. Really appreciate it. And I want to remind everyone that you're not asking for, for mothers or fathers to be in class every single day or at school every day, but through the Parent Academy, through volunteering and chaperoning, for example, on field trips are excellent ways to do that. And you can find all of that information by going to Duval County Public Schools website. Ask at your school. Also, the principal, anyone, the teacher can help you with
From
that.
day one, parents are told parental involvement is the key to their child's academic success. But is there a point where being involved is more of a hindrance than help?
This is interesting. A study from Duke University and the University of Texas details the best ways to help your child thrive in school.
Plus 81.
Helping with homework has always been considered a bonus for kids. Well, now a new study finds those advantages start fading in middle school.
Curriculum has changed definitely since I, learned math.
Researchers looked at data from kids from the time they were in the first grade through the 12th. They also tracked 63 measures of parental involvement, such as helping with homework, talking about college, and meeting with teachers.
Roughly 15% of the time, parental involvement was associated with increases in achievement. And about 30% of the times, 35% of the times, was associated with decreases in achievement.
50% of the time, it made no difference. The researchers also found across all racial groups, helping with homework was found to lower achievement in reading and math. So what does help?
Having expectations of your child to have education beyond high school seems to be associated with achievement across the board.
Professor Harris and his colleagues also found that reading out loud to young children makes a difference, as did talking to older students about their college plans. Also, talking about the importance of school is associated with increases in math and reading.
They just kind of encourage us to get better, and that we'll get there.
Yeah, the study also found that parents can improve their kids' academic performances by as much as 8 points on a reading or math test by placing them in a classroom of a teacher with a good reputation. One example for which race did seem to matter: white parents are at least twice as likely as black or Latino parents to request a specific teacher. But really interesting that more than trying to help directly with the homework, you're better off just trying to reinforce how important it is to succeed in school.
And setting the expectation.
Yeah,
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You writing all this down?
Yeah, right. For my boy here coming out in next month.
As a school administrator, a parent came to me one day and was very upset with me. She said, you're holding my child accountable for a principle that we don't practice at home. And I said, I'm sorry, please explain. She said, my child is being penalized for being tardy every morning, and I don't think it's fair. I said, well, ma'am, that's the rule. If you're late, you get penalized. School starts at 8 o'clock. She said, but I'm raising my child in a natural environment. There are no alarm clocks in my house. We all wake up when our body clocks naturally awaken us. I said, okay. She said, and so the district is in violation of my policy by saying that my child is late. He should not be penalized because we are being raised to adjust to our own biological needs. And I said, that's a good idea. Now, to be honest, I had something to do. I was busy that morning, and she was talking a very long time. And finally, I said to her, okay, ma'am, since your son's being raised naturally, and that's good, I want you to raise him naturally the way you should. So tomorrow morning, when your child's natural body clock awakens him, send him to school. She said, no matter what time? I said, no matter what time. When he wakes up, send him to school. She said, will he be marked tardy? I said, oh no, we're going by natural function. And so she said, well, I don't want him in Mr. Thomas's class because Mr. Thomas doesn't like him anymore because he's always tardy, and I feel he should have a new teacher. Whose class are you going to put him in? I said, every teacher at this school is certified. Let him walk around and choose a room. Wherever he finds an open chair or a teacher that is physically appealing, he may go in. We have blondes, brunettes, Asians, Hispanic, whatever he chooses, just go in. I'm sure before the end of the day, he will have picked up some tidbit of knowledge. So she was getting a little suspicious. And so she said, well, okay, what time will he go home if he gets to come whenever he wants to? I said, when he begins to feel fatigued, he should just pack it up, run along home. Because I think you shouldn't stay as long as your natural body function says you're tired. He should just go home. She said, well, he can't just go home. He's a bus rider. What bus will he ride? I said, they're all yellow. Choose one. Whenever he gets to a place that is close to what looks familiar, just ask the bus rider to let him up. She said, you're crazy. You've lost your mind. You can't run a school like this. I said, that's what I've been trying to tell you. Get the boy here at 8 o'clock. You know?
Educators, authorities, and experts claim that our public education system is in the midst of a crisis. While they don't often agree on the solution, their prescriptions have one common ingredient: family engagement.
And so the question is whether all of us, as citizens and as parents, are willing to do what's necessary to give every child a chance to succeed. That responsibility begins not in our classrooms, but in our homes.
A very important part of the educational process is to involve the parents.
To really involve parents and the entire community in ensuring that public education improves.
If we can have parental involvement, that's huge and terrific.
It is well documented and plain common sense that parental involvement in a child's education boosts student learning and improves both behavior and student attendance.
Unfortunately, there are still studies coming out that show that many parents feel that the total responsibility for the education of their students is the schools and the teacher. And that's not true.
There are no excuses. Because when you are in the building, boys see a good example, girls see a good example, and children will change their behavior just because they know you.
When I walk into a school where the parent volunteers, the community partners, I can just feel the difference in the building.
Our highest achieving kids always have parental support. What does that tell us? We've got to get parental support for more of our kids.
You've got to let your kid know you're invested. So when they come home, ask them, can I see your homework? Ask them, what did they do in school?
So that piece, that collaboration piece that I talked about before, more and more and more, I see that as the most important factor of helping kids learn.
Schools can't do it all by themselves, okay? And if we don't find ways to engage parents, then we're not going to get it done.
My mom showed up in my school, scared me to death. She would look the teacher in the eye and say, my child will get an A in this class. It's either going to be your fault or his fault. If it's his fault, I'll take care of him at home. But if it's your fault, I'm coming back here.
I'm telling you, if everybody who is a parent who is listening right now went to your school and said to the teacher, tell me what I can do to help you help my child, you would get a different level of respect, and you would get a different level of return for your child. Would you not?
Look, everybody knows the kids whose parents show up, you can't help it by human nature. You pay particular attention to those children.
I'm not going to deny it's difficult because all the factors that we've been talking about all weekend play into that. The employment issues, let's just take one of them, and the stress of lower income families and just trying to exist make it difficult, obviously, to get involved. Right. But I think we have to start from the belief, a real belief, that family engagement is not external to the process of education.
In the end, there is no program or policy that can substitute for a parent, for a mother or father who will attend those parent-teacher conferences, or help with homework, or turn off the TV, put away the video games, read to their child. I speak to you not just as a president, but as a father when I say that responsibility for our children's education must begin at home. That is not a Democratic issue or a Republican issue. That's an American issue.